Three East Bay lawmakers today proposed a new tax on California's biggest companies to generate money for schools. Assembly members Buffy Wicks, Bonta, and State Senator Nancy Skinner say the money generated would go toward a K-12 education, community colleges, and early childhood education. All corporations bringing in more than $10 million a year would see their corporate tax rate go from 8.8% to 10.8%. In addition, any company that pays their top management more than 300 times what the average employee gets would see their tax rate climb to 14.8%.
Okay, so let's talk more about this proposed tax increase with Oakland Assemblywoman Buffy Wicks. Buffy, thank you so much for being here. This bill is really designed to address two things. Can you talk a little bit more about the increase and also about trying to even out the income gap?
Sure. So fundamentally, we want to address the income inequality that we see not only here in California, but across the country. You know, in the 1970s, the typical CEO made 30 times the average worker. Now it's 312 times, or even 400 and 500 times what the average worker makes. So we see that wealth disparity happen. We've also seen a decrease in the corporate tax rate. All the while, we've seen challenges for public education funding. So the goal is to hopefully also incentivize companies to reduce that wealth gap. And as well, of course, raise money for our schools.
And how confident are you that those companies are going to be encouraged, if this passes, of course, that these companies are going to be encouraged enough to begin raising the salaries for their employees? I mean, do you think that's how it's going to unfold?
Well, hopefully they'll see, you know, it's a bottom line decision for them that if they actually save money by paying their lower paid workers, bringing sort of all rising tide lifts all boats kind of strategy, that hopefully they will do that. And, you know, they also just got a huge windfall from the Trump tax. Right. So our largest corporations, and again, I want to be specific, it's to our largest corporations here in California, about 0.2% of the companies this would apply.
We're talking about companies that make net more than $10 million.
That's right, exactly.
Is it companies based in California or any company that does any sort of business in the state of California?
That do business in California.
So that's pretty much every business out there.
Well, it's about 2,000 companies is what we estimate, and we think we can generate up to about $5 billion in resources that could go to our K-12 system. You know, we just saw the strike that happened here in Oakland. Right. You know, we desperately need resources for our schools.
Well, you obviously have heard some of the criticism already of this bill. I mean, a lot of people say, look, it's already pretty expensive to operate as a company here in California, and something like this, it could potentially discourage people from setting up shop here in California or doing business here. What do you say to that criticism?
Well, you know, we're the 5th largest economy in the world. I think our large, profitable companies are doing just fine. And I think looking at the hard truths about the reality of the income inequality in the state is critical. It's time our elected leaders step forward and really address this head on. And that's why I'm honored to be working with Senator Nancy Skinner and Assemblymember Bonta on it.
All right. Well, appreciate you coming in. We'll be following this as it works its way through the legislature. Thank you so much, Buffy.
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate you coming in.